So this is what you'll need for this project. You'll need some buttons. You can use the same technique with beads if you like. I love this button technique though. And we'll be stacking them kind of sideways. However long you want your button piece to be is how many buttons you're going to need. I'm using 9 buttons. So that's a good place to start. And I'm using a variety of colors. You could use all the same color, and you'll have to remember basically what you're going to see once this is done is just the sides of the buttons, not the front of the buttons, so keep that in mind when you're choosing your buttons. You will need some chain, and you'll need a clasp. I'm actually using a chain that I got from a used jewelry sale. Sometimes you'll find them at libraries and stuff like that. This chain already has a clasp, so I'm just going to use that clasp. And then you'll need a few jump rings. You'll also need 20 gauge half hard round wire, or kind of the equivalent. If you're not using sterling silver, you can use artist wire, copper wire, brass wire, whatever kind of wire you like. And then you'll need wire cutters, chain nose pliers, and round nose pliers. And you'll need bent nose pliers as well for the jump rings. So let's get started. So we are going to start by cutting a piece of wire that is a few inches longer than all of the beads that we're stacking up. I'm cutting about 6 inches here, which will probably be a little bit too much, but it's always better to have too much wire than not enough. So now I'm going to make a wire wrapped loop. So I'm going to hold the wire about 1.25 inches from the top, and then you have all this wire down here, and then you just wrap around your round nose pliers to form a loop. And so we want that loop to be centered on top of the wire. So I'm going to hold that loop in my chain nose pliers. I'm going to wrap around one time, and I'm pulling out this wire at the same time. And then you can go around 2 additional times. So 2 more wraps for a total of 3. Whoops. Keep a hold of your tools while you're using them. And then you just cut off any excess wire from those wraps, making a flush cut, which you're just using the back of your wire cutters toward what you're cutting. And then you just grab your chain nose pliers again, and just make sure that end is not poking out. And then I'm just using my hand to straighten the wire. You don't want to do that too much because it will harden the wire, which, you know, will make it harder to use, but you can go ahead and straighten it out because we want a nice straight wire for our pendant here. So now I'm going to put my buttons on. I've already decided on the order, so I'm just going to slide them on in the order that I want. I'm starting off with a small button, and I'm going out to the big in the middle and then back down again. So I don't have, mine aren't exactly symmetrical, so I'm not using kind of the same beads on each side of the middle piece, but they're pretty similar. They're similar in colors and size. So I'm just stacking them all on here, just sliding them on to the wire just like you would a bead. So that's what we have. I think it turned out pretty cute. So now we just need to make a wire wrapped loop on the other side. So I'm starting about 1/4 inch above the last button that I had, and I am holding the wire in my round nose pliers, and we're just going to do what we just did on the other side. Wrap around, make a loop, and then hold the loop in chain nose pliers, wrap around once. As we do that, you just pull out the whole button part here, and then we're going to wrap around 2 more times. And you can use your your bent nose pliers to help you wrap, or if you have a long piece of wire like I do, it's easy to use your hands. And then I'm just kind of arranging these buttons, just because there's 4 holes in them. There's usually 2 or 4 holes, and the hole isn't right in the middle of the button. It could make things a little awkward. So if your button kind of gets twisted up like that, it looks kind of funky. But if you make sure the top, all the buttons are going, the wire's going through the top hole, then you'll be fine. And then we're just going to trim off the excess wire and use our chain nose pliers again to just make sure that end is not poking out. And that is our button piece. So now I'm just going to add chain to each side using jump rings. So then to finish the necklace, you will just add chain kind of in equal lengths to each side, and you just use a jump ring to attach the chain and add a clasp to the top so you can put your necklace on and off. And that is it. So it's a super fun way to use buttons, and I think it looks really cool. So have fun with that. If you need buttons, I actually have buttons in my Etsy shop. So I'll link to that in the description below if you want to check out some buttons. And I'll talk to you soon.